Is Zach LaVine damaged goods, or is he the missing piece for the Warriors? Let's get into it. I think all Warriors fans need to open up their mind to the possibility that Klay might be gone. According to recent reports, there's been no progress on a Klay Thompson extension with the Warriors. It seems like Klay has every intention of testing free agency, and you never know what a team might offer. So Warriors fans, be prepared. It might not go the way y'all want it to go. Let's say a team like Orlando offers Klay a contract he can't refuse. And if that's the case, not only do the Warriors need to add a big man, but they need to add another guard too. Brings us to Zach LaVine. LaVine might possibly be the best talent acquisition the Warriors can acquire without giving up the kitchen sink. LaVine's contract is looked at as an albatross by the league, forcing the Bulls to significantly lower their asking price. His contract is looked at as such a negative, the Bulls reportedly may have to attach an asset just to get off him. This might be a golden opportunity for the Warriors to buy low on a player whose reputation and value is in the dirt. Put him in a change of scenery in a winning environment around champions and see what you can get out of him. It's the same thing they did with Andrew Wiggins. He was considered one of the worst contracts in the league at the time before the Warriors traded for him. But they believe once they got him in their culture, they can maximize his talents and turn him into a championship piece. With Steph turning 37 next season, the future of the Warriors without 30 around is unknown, which is why the Warriors front office is hesitant to include their young players in trades. It's understandable, I get it. But in a trade for Zach LaVine, since his value is so low, the Warriors probably wouldn't have to give up Kuminga, Pods, or TJD, while acquiring an all-star level talent in Zach LaVine, who theoretically should still be in his physical prime at age 28. If the Warriors were to trade for any other player of Zach LaVine's talent level or better, they would probably have to give up 2 out of the 3 of Kuminga, Pods, and TJD. But the upside of trading for Zach LaVine, since his contract is such a negative, they can probably keep all 3. The Bulls don't really have any leverage in this negotiation, because the whole league knows they want to get off his contract badly. They want to start their rebuild, but there's no teams that's really want to give them anything of value. So they can either sit on his massive contract and pay a disgruntled star, or they could trade him for very little assets back and get cap relief, which is where the Warriors come in. All right, let's load up the good old trade machine. All right, let's see. First trade, CP3, GP2, and Kevon Looney for Zach LaVine. Now, it might be some draft compensation in there added somewhere, maybe some protected picks, maybe some seconds, a very heavily protected first. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but this is the basic layout of the trade. Some of you might be asking, why would the Bulls accept this trade? Number one, it offers cap relief. GP2, 1 year left on his contract. Kevon Looney, 1 year left on his contract and is partially guaranteed. CP3, completely non-guaranteed. So with this trade, the Bulls can essentially give him up under Zach LaVine's entire contract and start the rebuild. It might be some picks going to the Bulls, but it definitely won't be an unprotected first round pick. For sure, I can promise you that. On the flip side, why would the Warriors do this? I feel like in terms of Chris Paul, he's gone either way. He was a solid player for us, but it just wasn't the best fit. Him and Steph Curry play the same position, and you just can't maximize his team with both those dudes sharing a court for too long. In terms of Gary Payton, he's one of my favorite all-time Warriors, but he's always injured when we need him most, man. Like, it's tough, bro. Like, you can't justify paying him what they're paying him for him to not be available. So it is what it is. He has to be included as salary filler. If you don't put him in there, you got to put in Kuminga or you got to put in somebody else to make the salaries work. And I don't think we want to do that. So GP2 is being real, but you got to do what you got to do. Warrior for life, though. Kevon Looney, similar situation. One of my favorite all-time Warriors, one of the best vets in the league. Him and GP2 personify Warriors culture. They're both 2 of the best vets you can ask for the young guys. But you got to have salary filler. And unfortunately for Looney, the Warriors got TJD now, and he's already better than Looney. That's just a part of the business. All right, let's get to trade scenario number 2. Moses Moody, Chris Paul, Kevon Looney, GP2, a protected first-round pick, and a second-round pick for Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso. Okay, now we get into it. I like this trade. I really like this trade. The reason I like this trade is because you're getting one of the best role players in the league, Alex Caruso, who's a legit championship piece, a proven championship piece, on top of an all-star level talent in Zach LaVine. And all you're sending out, really, I mean, like I said in my last video, I like Moody, but if he's required in a trade to make it work, it is what it is. Caruso's a monster. Defensively, he's a monster. He's a perfect role player for the Warriors. GP2 and Looney, I already said my piece on them. They're expendable. They're vets, they're older. It is what it is. Chris Paul's gone anyways. So the only things of value you're really giving up is Moses Moody, the protected first round pick, and that second round pick. Now, some of you might be saying, whoa, that's way too much to give up. But you gotta understand, it takes 2 to make a trade. The Bulls have to accept the trade, and they view Alex Caruso as one of their best players. Half the league was sending Bulls trade proposals for Alex Caruso, and they declined all of them. You gotta convince the Bulls to include Alex Caruso. So if y'all feel like that's too much draft capital going back, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You got to give up stuff to get stuff, man. Like, you can't just think you're going to rob the other team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't work like that. Like, obviously, like, the exact protections on the picks and the amount of the picks, all that stuff, that can all be adjusted. But I'm just using this as a basic template to give you a sense of what the trade will look like. All right, let's check out the hypothetical depth chart after this trade. You got Steph Curry, Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, TJD. Off the bench, you got Pods, Lester Quinones, Alex Caruso, Jonathan Kuminga, and Guy Santos. Now, obviously, looking at this depth chart, the Warriors are thin up front. All you really got at center is TJD and Draymond, neither one of which are above 6'9", and you traded Looney in this trade. So the first thing the Warriors would have to do after this trade is acquire a center. Also, this depth chart is just who's under contract as of now. The offseason hasn't really started, so they will still be signing free agents. Once you add a few more veteran free agents, it'll look a lot more complete. I mean, just looking at it, that's a pretty decent roster. I mean, at guard, they'd be loaded. You got Steph Curry, who's still a top 10 player, top 5. I don't care what nobody say. You got Zach LaVine, who's an all-star level talent. And at this point, I don't think anyone can argue he's a much better player than Klay Thompson. Like, let's just be real. Like, let's not be delusional. Zach LaVine is a legit, obvious upgrade over Klay Thompson. Then you got year 2 Pods, who I expect to be a much improved player. He was too good in his rookie season, and he's too smart of a player to just not make any progress. He's definitely going to put that work in this offseason. He's going to come back a better player. Then you got Alex Caruso, who's essentially a souped up version of GP2. Picture this. For those who's not familiar with Alex Caruso's game, let me paint the picture for you. He's GP2, but he's 3 inches taller. He's a 40% three-point shooter last season. He can run point. He can handle the ball. He's high IQ. He can guard 4 positions: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. For those who say he can't guard power forwards, watch the tape. The dude was guarding Giannis in games and was holding his own. He's only 6'5", but defensively he's a monster. At the wing positions, the Warriors are solid. You got Andrew Wiggins, who should have a bounce back season. Age 29, he's still in his physical prime. Last season was last season. He got pride as a player. He's going to come back. He's going to be much improved. Then you got year 4 Kuminga, who's playing for a contract extension. He's trying to get that generational money for his family. Rightfully so, get your money. But he's going to be on one too. And then you got Caruso, who easily can play at the wing. Your position is based off who you can guard, and Caruso can more than hold his own against every 3 in the league. He's literally one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Now, assuming Klay Thompson leaves in this scenario, the Warriors should have enough financial flexibility to use their minimum level exception, which I believe is a $5.3 million contract they can give out to a free agent. They got to use that to sign a big man. Preferably somebody with size and athleticism and a defensive presence in the paint. Now, obviously, big men that could do all those things, they come at a premium. The Warriors may not have enough scratch to get them, but you never know how the market turns out. There might be a player that people are expected to get more that, for whatever reason, their value gets squeezed and they end up on the Warriors. So we just got to see what the front office can do. All right, let's do some pros and cons. First con, LaVine's contract is huge. $89 million owed over the next 2 seasons. That's a pretty big contract. Second con, trading for LaVine all but assures Klay won't be back unless he agrees to like a ridiculously low discount. So this trade for me is like a contingency to fill that shooting guard position if Klay just doesn't want to come back. So that's where I'm at with that. That's probably the biggest concern here is you're trading for a player who's making his amount of money and he's injury prone. So he's going to take up a huge portion of the cap. So if he gets injured, all of a sudden, what's that? $45 million just sitting on a bench in street clothes. And then all of a sudden it's back on 30 to just do everything. And it's going to be tough. But then again, you can say that with any team. Like if a team is missing like their second best scorer, their second best player, whatever the case may be, every team in the league is going to struggle under those circumstances. Like no one's winning the chip if their second best player goes down, their second best scorer. So you can say that for a lot of teams, but him being injury prone doesn't help the cause, especially with Steph turning 37. So all right, let's get to the pros. His value is in the mud right now, which opens up the chance for the Warriors to acquire a player of his talent level for basically nothing but salary filler and cap relief. If you got a chance to get an all-star level player without giving back any first-round picks, and you can possibly keep Kuminga, Pajimski, and TJD, that's the biggest reason why this trade is very interesting. And Zach LaVine is a very interesting name because he's probably the only star in the league where that's his situation. Every other star of his caliber, they're going to run your pockets. Like you're giving up multiple first round picks, unprotected. Teams are going to demand Kuminga. Teams are going to demand Pajimski. With Zach LaVine, the Bulls have no leverage. They're trying to rebuild. They don't want to pay LaVine this much money on a rebuilding team. He hasn't really been helping them win games anyways. They're ready to move on. Like all the reports are that they're ready to move on. So the next pro, he's only 28 years old. So he theoretically should still be in his physical prime. Now, Zach LaVine at 31 years old, how good of a player is he going to be? I don't know. Might not be great, but at that point, his contract will be up. The Warriors can move on if they need to. The next pro, he provides much needed rim pressure. The Warriors don't really have anybody that can get to the rim consistently. They rely on 36-year-old Steph Curry to do it, and then 21-year-old Kuminga, who's inconsistent. Other than that, ain't nobody else getting to the rim. Like, it's a wrap. LaVine is a dude that can get to the rim. He can finish at the rim. He can finish above the rim. I think he averaged, about 5.5 free throws per game the last few seasons, which is pretty good. The next pro, Draymond Green, Alex Caruso, TJD, And a bounce back season from Andrew Wiggins should be the backbone of a top 5 defense, top 5 to top 3. With that defensive personnel, is no excuse not to have a top 3 defense. You got Caruso, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. You got Draymond Green, who's a DPOY candidate. You got a bounce back Andrew Wiggins season, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. You got TJD, who's coming into his own as a rim protector and got better and better as the season progressed in his rookie season. So that should be more than enough talent defensively to be a contender. The next pro, Adam Levine, raises the overall athleticism of the team. You got Kuminga, TJD, and Andrew Wiggins, and then you add Zach LaVine to that. All of a sudden, the Warriors don't look so old and unathletic anymore. So am I in or out on this trade? Under the circumstances that Klay's gone, I'm all in. But if Klay wants to stay and he's willing to like take a discount and make things work financially, I might be trying to look at other ways to improve the team. But anyways, that's all I got for y'all. If you like this style of content, check out my latest upload where I discuss a Jimmy Butler trade scenario. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.